I cannot believe it. Rob Newman actually exists and is doing something to help West Ham United Football Club. It seems like he was ghosting himself for a year. He wasn't even in the picture. And now that the transfer window is set to open in a few days' time, he's actually doing something for West Ham and David Moyes. Rob Newman has put together a list of players that he recommends to the manager, indicating that scouting work has been done and continues to be done. I've written down the list on my laptop, and I'm going to go through every single player to begin with, then talk about a couple of, let's just say, short stories about each player or concerns and comments that Moyes has made. And also, I'll give my verdict on who I would sign out of this list. I will say that Newman has been paying close attention to the French league, and this is an area that he is scouted in frequently. I'm actually on the same wavelength as him. I tend to look at the French league a lot because I think that West Ham's got a good track record of signing players from France, and it tends to be a very go-to country for West Ham's talented players. Now, the list that has been produced is very David Moyes-esque. There are names on that aren't overly glamorous at times, but names that I think will do a job. There are players who have attitudes that fit West Ham. There are players who are domestic and are accustomed to the trials and tribulations of playing in the Premier League. There are players who are coming from abroad. So there is a lot of diversity within this list, but I believe that the calibre of players would definitely suit this football club. One thing that I may have talked about in the past is a need to have versatility in this squad. If you have versatility, you are able to have players play in different positions without needing to spend money on separate positions. Versatility also helps to change your game plan without worry, and it's something Moyes definitely needs to start considering. So who are all of these players? Well, let me go through the list. This is in no particular order. Alphonse Areola, Nick Pope, Owen Vindal, Aaron Hickey, Maxwell Cornet, Naef Aguirre, Nicola Valenkovich, Calvin Bassey, Nathan Ake, Joe Worrell, Josh Brownhill, John McGinn, Matthias Svanberg, Yves Bissouma, Jesse Lingard, Alexander Oxlade-Chamberlain, James Ward-Prowse, Calvin Phillips, Adnan Januzaj, Keane Lewis-Potter, Brennan Johnson, Gerard Dalfeu, Armando Broja, Ollie Watkins, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Emmanuel Dennis, Ben Brereton Diaz, Mohamed Bayo. That's quite a lot of players, really. That's at least 15 on the list. And it is a lot because we're going to need to look at a lot of players to add to the squad. Let me talk about a couple because I made a few notes here. Alphonse Areola is set to trigger that €9 million release clause. Well, the club is, and Alphonse Areola is expected to begin negotiations with West Ham. He's seen as the future goalkeeper. That one seems to be done, more or less. Owen Vindal or Aaron Hickey, I would take either or at West Ham. Aaron Hickey is a mature left-back for his age and a player who plays with a great deal of level-headedness. I take Aaron Hickey. I think he's one of the most underrated in this part of Europe. Cornet can play as a striker, a winger, a wing-back, or a left-back. He's got good set-piece ability about him, and when he signed for Burnley, it wasn't a very Burnley-esque signing, but he was already making a big impact early on. Scored goals for them, and he would be good to have on the wing. Naef Aguirre seems like it's getting closer and closer. He has taken pictures in the kit. He has been in London to finalise terms. He is looking to buy a house in London because he intends to live there full time. He is away on international duty with Morocco, so that might be a bit of a hold-up. Nicola Valenkovich, that name keeps getting mentioned all the time. Calvin Bassey, I do like him. I didn't really know a lot about him until I saw the Europa League, but I do like what I've seen about him. Josh Brownhill, he's not overly terrible. If you say you wouldn't want him, I can see why, but at the same time, I don't see why. He's not an awful player. John McGinn is not an awful player either. David Moyes is a big fan of the Scottish midfielder, but Moyes is somewhat conceding that the player is going to be costing around £50 million. Svanberg plays for Bologna, the same team that Hickey plays for. He's a decent midfielder as well. He's good with keeping the ball and being tidy. Bissouma, very modern, energetic box-to-box player, long-distance strikes and different range of passing on him. Very good partner for Declan Rice. However, there is a concern about a court case he was involved in. Jesse Lingard, the wage demands on him are just too much. He's had a chance to sign for West Ham, he hasn't taken it, so silly. James Ward-Prowse, I'd like him at West Ham. I would, because I think Ward-Prowse has amazing set-piece ability and leadership. But Southampton wants to tie him down because he's seen as the core of the Southampton side. That's his boyhood club. He's definitely not going to go for the cheap, is he? Adnan Januzaj, another name that's come up. Moyes worked with him at Manchester United. Januzaj's been all right in La Liga, but I don't think I'd want him at West Ham. Not right now, anyway. However, I would take Keane Lewis-Potter. Jarrod Bowen played with Lewis Potter at Hull. They're good friends. Gerard Deulofeu, yes, please. Yes. Deulofeu is just coming off one of his best seasons with Udinese, and he's subjected to bids from a few teams in Italy. Deulofeu would be a brilliant signing. He's played in the Premier League. He found his foot with Watford, and when he finally did find his form, he was an excellent player. I would take Deulofeu back in the Premier League without any qualms. Brozier, West Ham tried to sign him in January. I wouldn't say no to Brozier, in all fairness. Watkins is a player who's been mentioned before. I don't know if he'll be cheap either, but hey, I would have Ollie Watkins at West Ham. I've always loved him. Pardon me. Emmanuel Dennis is a name that was mentioned very early on, and it seemed that there was communication with him and West Ham and Watford. Don't know what's happened with that, but Emmanuel Dennis would cover the wing and he'd cover the striker position. He contributed to 48% of Watford's goals. That's a lot. That's nearly half. Brereton Diaz, player who fell off a bit after January, but I think he scored about 20 goals by December. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, someone, but I read somewhere he scored about 20 goals before December. That in itself is an achievement. Mohamed Bayo is a name that's been linked with West Ham yet again. It's the second or third transfer window that's come up. So who would I take out of this list? Areola, yeah, close. Agreed, close. Bassouma's probably not that realistic. Svanberg's a good player. Yes, I would take him. Lewis Potter is a good player. Deulofeu is good as well. He can play as a striker. Brozier definitely would take. Corday, I'd take. That's about it, really. Yeah. Yeah, I think we could definitely get some Premier League proven forwards in this team, and that'll help them settle a lot quicker, just judging by this list. Basuma, Ward-Prowse and Calvin Phillips are not going to happen, really. Not holding out much hope for that. McGinn, yes, but not for that price. Valenkovich, sick of seeing the name. Just move on. Joe Worrell definitely will not sign now that Nottingham Forest's gone up. I'll take Aaron Hickey as well. If not, Vindel's just as good. And Areola, as we know, is signing permanently. It's not a bad list that Newman's put together. I definitely think it's got a lot of talent in there. However, it's up to Moyes to make the final decisions. We just got to hope that he gets the right players in and the best players. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Off the Press. If you liked the video, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe for more content. Take care, everybody, and I will see you all soon.